Ooh, this is looking bad news, Bears. Oh, we gave it up. This is not looking good. Injection is so good in this deck. Snatch Steal is in that duelist's hand. Let's keep that in mind. That Snatch Steal is in your hand, and we're going to double chain E. Yeah, this is your fear. Nova Ethos, your fears are correct. I think the Go format duelist known as Grace might be running out.
Hand,
but you can lit. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
You're in a world of hurt if you can't do something about this.
Trade it up for the Saborgian. I'm on the edge of my seat. Snatch Steal, you need MST.
Snatch. Does it go through?
It went.
Oh, it does. But hold on.
You need Mirror Force one time right here. It's the only thing that can save you. Let's go. And we're just gonna use the Zaborg to pop the Exile, and just like that, Grace wins. Oh my! Whoa, dude, that was some heart of the cards. Guide me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video. Grace here. So yes, as the title suggests, last weekend I got third place at the Patreon World Championship Qualifier 44 playing Fairies. Not only Fairies, but my own personal brew of Fairies, and to be completely honest, it felt amazing. I was so happy to see some success with this deck, and I just overall on Saturday I was just so happy I was happy with how I played personally. I was happy with how the deck performed. I obviously was happy with how I drew. Got pretty lucky in a lot of scenarios, but you kind of have to at a certain extent to make it far with a deck like this. But I was just completely over the moon. It was such a great event for me, and I had such a great time. And I was so happy to get this the top on the map with this deck. This is the first time that I've ever topped an online GOAT format event not playing Warriors, which was very validating to me. I kind of always believed myself to be confined to just be this helmet player because I just don't have the Yu-Gi-Oh wherewithal to succeed with anything else, but I did, and it felt really good, and it was validating. And so yeah, it was just a great event. I was really happy with how it went. So this video, I'm going to talk mainly about the tournament. I'm going to talk about the deck more later, about fairy theory in general. I want to get into that in some other projects, but really today I want to focus on just the tournament experience itself. I want to talk about some of the matchups and stuff, and then we'll also watch 2 replays from the tournament, because if you were watching the stream, I had some crazy matches. If you could probably see that from the intro of this video. So anyway, it was quite a fun time. And so first and foremost, I have some shout outs to give, and this is the most important part of the video because I really need to say thank you to a few people. First and foremost, thank you to the GOAT format staff, the judges, the moderators, of course JDZ for hosting these marathon streams almost every single Patreon. It's crazy what he does, and Bluetooth for judging this event. I mean, if you run into any of these like volunteers or are talking to them, like tell them thank you, because these people genuinely love the game and they give up their time, they give up their energy. In some cases, people even give up their money to like support this format because they love it, and retro Yu-Gi-Oh in general. This applies to all the different Discords, but Edison format, whatever. Like these people are dedicating their time to run these tournaments and judging and making content, and it's just none of this would ever happen. It wouldn't exist without these people. So I just want to say massive thank you to all of you. All you guys are the backbone that holds this whole thing together. So thank you. And then a couple personal thank yous. I need to say thank you to a few people that helped with this deck along the way. Shout out to Grumple, who was kind of one of the people that pioneered with Fairies, one of the first tops ever with Fairies. And he was instrumental in discussing some of the theory of this deck. Of course, the Spice King himself, Alephia2, gave me some really good feedback on this list, and he was the reason I ended up playing Royal Decree. I was kind of hesitant at first about playing it, but he gave some good reasons for it, and ultimately it won me at least 2 matches. Both of the matches that I'm going to show on this video were Royal Decree was instrumental in games 2 and 3. So shout out to Alephia2 for that. Also, massive shout out to Pui for the help with this deck. She was one of the kind of encouraged me to put Return back into the deck, which had kind of gone out and come back in, and it won me my round 1 match in game 3 single-handedly. So also Pui has been like a big proponent of encouraging me to continue playing this light aggro stuff that I've been trying to make work, and she has kind of seen the vision for what I've been trying to do with this deck and really encouraged me along the way. So thank you, Pui. And of course, a massive shout out to the Spice Syndicate. You know who you are. So, like I said, I don't want to talk a ton about the deck. You know, I will say real quickly, like if you haven't seen my previous video about this deck, which it's kind of funny, I literally just made a video about this, and then this happened. So it is what it is. But if you haven't seen my previous video, like there's a ton of ways that fairies can be played. This is not a conclusive best fairy list by any stretch of the imagination. Honestly, I think it lacks some of the upside that a more chaos-centric version of fairies has. But at the same time, this really fits my style. I love the way this pretty much purely light monster version of the deck plays. It allows you to play Soul Impurity and Light and Freed, where you can't play these cards in a more like chaos-centric version of the deck. But yeah, I won't get too into the list itself, but it performed really well. It was very consistent, obviously, with the triple jars and double upstarts. While being very consistent, it did slightly lack the upside that, you know, having chaos monsters provides. During the tournament or after the tournament, do I have any cards that I would change? Not really. There's not a ton of changes I would make to the deck. Obviously, it performed very well, but I would probably include a Tribe Infecting Virus in the main deck. As much as I love running all light monsters, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, I think it's just a necessity to have a Tribe somewhere in here. Just as such a powerful spot removal card when you're staring down those boards of like, you know, Spy, Chaos Sorcerer. When you can bring it out and call Spellcaster, it's just incredibly powerful. So it should be in the deck probably, but at the same time, you have a lot of spot removal, so it's not the end of the world that I didn't have it in there. Other changes, I mean, you could maybe consider like changing the trap lineup. Like I said, I really wanted to emphasize consistency with the Jar of Greed's game 1. So you can maybe argue that I should probably have trap dust shoots instead of the jars just in the current meta. But at the same time, I was really surprised during this tournament, because this is, you know, I played this deck a lot on the ladder and testing and stuff, but I've never played like a ton of high level matches with it. And so I was really surprised with how well this deck played against Chaos Turbo. So much so I almost didn't even need the dust shoots in there game 1 at least. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I really don't know the siding strategy yet against the aggressive matchups such as Warriors. Previously, in the last iteration of the deck, I had Sakuretsu Armors in the side against the aggro decks, but instead I switched it up. Instead, I brought in the Decrees, and I'm doing this Zombira BLS package, which I really just don't have enough of a sample size yet to say anything conclusive, because I played against Warriors one time, the eventual winner, Dueling High, and he just completely ran me over. Like I just never even really got to do a lot. I just got Donzaluged, and I had like dead Zaborgs in my hand, and I could just never establish a board presence. Everything was getting solemned, and yeah, it was not a fun match at all. Both of my losses were absolute beatdowns. So I don't really know yet. It's too soon to tell. But that's as much as I'm going to talk about the deck. Let's talk about the tournament itself. So I loaded up this deck pretty much last second. I don't get to play in these all the time. I'm usually pretty busy on Saturdays, and so I wasn't sure, and at last second I decided I was going to do it, and so I pulled the trigger, and I was like, I'm probably not going to get my invite anyway, so let's rock some fairies, and it just went really well. So, and I'll just go ahead and show my matchups right here. I'm going to be honest, like, I had a gauntlet. I had it played against a lot of really solid duelists. I mean, pretty much from round 1 to the end of the entire tournament. Just played against a lot of monsters. Obviously, let's get this out of the way. I drew extremely well in a lot of matches. There were matches, yes, I really had to fight where I didn't draw the best cards. and I had to, you know, grind out some wins and do my best. But at the same time, there were some games where I absolutely sacked my opponents. That has to be out of the way. I mean, obviously you have to do that to make a deep run in a tournament with a deck like this. You've got to be drawing well in certain scenarios, and so I definitely was. So if any of my opponents are watching this and they're like, dude, you just sacked me. You sacked me so hard. How are you gonna, you know, sit here and talk about how your deck performed? It was your Trinity that was performing. It definitely was. So, you know, it's a combination of drawing well, the deck was running well, and I feel like I played well to a certain extent. So all of those have to come together to make a deep run in a tournament. So obviously, let's get that out of the way. I was definitely sacking left and right, and it was only fitting that both of my losses were just me just getting absolutely destroyed. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at some replays. The first one we're going to talk about is my match. This was when I first got knocked down into the loser side, my match against Not So Fast, who was playing Chaos Turbo. And I feel like this replay really shows, you know, I just want to show kind of the deck in action as well as show how it functions against Chaos Turbo. And this was a very close match, so really juicy opening hand here. I had several, like I said, several matches during the day where I opened with hands like this, and you just gotta love it when you go Venus with no shine balls. So just a fantastic turn one summon. Obviously you don't want to upstart a Pot of Greed first because you don't want to draw into your shine balls. Don't like seeing the double Soul, Impurity, and Light that early, but it's fine. Go ahead and set the ring. Don't really want to use the Rhoda yet because I want to save it for what I need. If I need to go Sasuke, Freed, or DD Warrior Lady. Would like to see like a Zaborg in this hand or some way to actively deal with face downs would be really nice. And Creature Swap, it's fantastic draw in this spot. So he sees my hand, unfortunately, but I mean, we're in a really great spot here. I know he has 2 Thunder Dragons. We're going to steal his face down and punch in here. I think I could definitely go Rhoda and summon like another monster to really push the aggression, and maybe that was a good play to do because I have ring set and I can just be hyper aggressive. I decided to kind of wait it out. I'm just going to save this Rhoda for utility. A lot of times with this deck, if I have the Rhoda, I'm going to hold it sometimes because Freed is so good late game once you get a lot of lights in grave and you're playing against Chaos and they get a lot of lights and darks in grave. So eventually they bring out the BLS or the Sorcerer and plus over you, and eventually you can go Freed and it allows you to get that nice plus back. So I'm going to hold it for now, but you could definitely continue the aggression, I think. He goes Pot of Greed of his own. Mind controls his own spy, which that's happened sometimes. You'll creature swap their face down and they'll either knock it or mind con it. It happens. So, but at the same time, we keep a spy on board, and then just the absolute perfect draw right off the top. And this is what I'm talking about. These boards are typically quite scary against Turbo. You don't have a way to deal with the spy. You don't have a way to deal with their face down, and then you draw into the Zaborg and it deals with both exactly how you want it to. So. Yeah, pop the Faith, which would have been devastating if that had resolved, and I can just go full on aggression here. Obviously, I could run into like a Mirror Force or something, but even then, it's not the end of the world because we'll be just have so many lights in grave at this point. The Soul Impurity Light will be live, Freed will be live. We'll have plenty of ways to deal with things. So. And this is what I'm saying. It's like you're playing against Turbo, and I normally sigh anytime the Sorcerer comes out, but we have so many ways to deal with it, so not a big deal. Venus isn't the greatest draw, and there's different ways I could have approached this, different orderings. I could have gone Freed and went ahead and did that. I could have gone just Smashing. I could have gone Ring. I don't know. I don't know what the best method here is. There's definitely several ways I could have dealt with this, but I go Smashing. He chains Book. And so now I'm trying to figure out what the best course of action is. So I ultimately decide that I'm going to go on the aggressive and go for game, right? Yes, because if I do this, then I ring and then I attack with the other two, then that's just game. But he does have the Mirror Force, so that's okay. Not the end of the world. And then I still haven't used my normal summon yet, so I decide to set the Venus. It's just not doing a lot. I don't know, I guess I could hold it. in case I draw into like Graceful or something, but I'm fine with setting it here, trying to bait out like a knock or a Mind Con or something. That's really not doing a lot. And plus, if I set it, I get, you know, I need to utilize my normal summon because I have the Rhoda as well in hand. So yeah, I'm fine with setting it here. I don't think it's horrible. He goes heavy, Zombira, and Sorcerer. Definitely like could have done some of the ordering of things differently back earlier when I had a few different options. I don't know. I think I could have been in a better position if I'd have played it a little better, I guess. I don't know. So now I decided to go ahead and go Freed. I pretty much have to. I mean, I can go Soul, Purity, and Light and plus back over, but I only have 2 lights banished, and kind of my thinking here is that if I go Freed, banish to destroy the Sorcerer, he attacks back over with Zombira, then I have 2 lights engrave again, making Soul and Purity live that I can attack back over the Zombira with. And obviously that's idealistic because he has 2 cards in hand still, but both of those cards are Thunder Dragons. So yeah, that's my thinking. Banish, yeah, to do that, he attacks back over, and then I attack back over with Soul and Purity. But he knows that I have the Soul and Purity and Light in hand, so he makes the wise decision to not attack. Now here, this is really where I kind of fumble the bag on this one, I would say. Because I could easily Zaborg here and it would be fantastic, but my fear is that he has either a Chaos Monster or a Snatch in his hand. And this doesn't make a ton of sense because he really only has 1 live card in his hand, or 1 real card in his hand. I guess I just didn't consider that he had both Thunder Dragons in hand. I know that's an obvious miss, but yeah, definitely should have just been like, hey, he has 2 Thunder Dragons in hand. The chances of him having a Chaos Monster or a Snatch in his hand, or that he draws on the next card, are not that high. But at the same time, if he does have the Chaos Monster or the Snatch, which he has 2 Chaos Monsters, he has 2 Chaos Monsters left in deck and a Snatch, so 3 of his cards, he has 1 extra card and then 1 that he's going to draw. So I don't know the math on that, but I mean, the chances of it happening are probably low. But if he does happen to have a Chaos Monster or a Snatch and I go Zaborg here and attack, I'm kind of screwed. I mean, I could also go, you know, like Zaborg and then attack with the Soul and Purity. I put him at 400 life or 200 life, but I don't know. I think I played this a bit too conservatively. I thought about it for a while, and I just am like, man, if he goes Snatch or Chaos, I'm in a world of hurt. And I just should have continued the aggression there. There was no point in kind of being that conservative with it. So now he does shoots me, sends back the Soul and Purity, which is unfortunate. And now I'm kind of in just a weird position. He goes Thunder Dragon. I'll take it. And then here, there's several routes we could go. I could go like Angel and Snatch, just attack with both, and then like guarantee that I probably have some sort of tribute next turn. I could set the Angel and just hope that he doesn't have knock. Yeah, I think that's about it. I could also like Snatch and kill my own Zaborg and then plan on going Angel next turn. That doesn't make any sense. So I don't know. I ended up deciding to set the Angel, and he goes Knock and summons another monster and just straight up kills me. So really not my best play right there. I really wasn't happy with how that game 1 played out. I was just a bit too conservative, but at the same time, I am willing to make a read and say, you know what, I feel like he has either a Snatch or a Chaos Monster in his hand, and if I believe that, then I need to stick by it. You know, if I make that hard read and I say, I think that's what it is, I think that's what he has, and it would be devastating if he had it, and I play based off of that assumption, then I can't be too upset, because that's the read I made. I stuck with it. I was wrong. I should have been more aggressive, but at the end of the day, I can live with that. So we go to game 2. Fortunate to see the Shine Ball in the opening hand, but it's all right. The question with the Shine Ball is always, do you summon both off of the Venus or not? I kind of like just doing one in a scenario like this, but it is what it is. So okay hand, but not really anything crazy. He goes Graceful, Thunder Dragon, Knight Assailant into the Spy, so really not off to a good start for us. He has a great hand, but we got to find a way into it. Luckily, Knock will help alleviate some stress here because I didn't have any method of dealing with the Spy. It's going to get aggressive, attack with both, get Mirror Force, which is fine. Go ahead and set the Shine Ball. I don't know, maybe like I could hold this and save it for like a Graceful top deck or something along those lines. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is necessary. I think I really wanted to try to bait a Knock or a Minecon or something, but a lot of times my opponent's going to be siding out the Knocks and Minecons game too anyway. But he goes Swords to see what I have, and he doesn't set anything or summon anything in attack, which makes me feel really good. So end phase, I'm like, I'm fine to let this Swords go all 3 turns because this is, especially because he doesn't have a monster on board, it's really going to let me, like, he obviously doesn't have a way to pressure me at the moment. So that makes me feel really good because I can kind of stall out a little bit and wait to draw into a better hand that I can have more utility with. So I'm fine to just MST the other card and just wait it out. He then decides to go on the aggressive and go with the BLS, but it's fine. We have a lot of methods of dealing with this. So I can go Smashing or I can go Freed. But ultimately I go ahead and just go Freed and just destroy the BLS. I kind of assume here that this Freed is going to get attacked back over by like a Zambira or something, but it's a Breaker instead. So he goes Breaker, Snatch, really decides to get on the aggressive here, and so now I'm quite worried that I'm in ring range. Luckily he doesn't set another card. If he had the ring, he definitely sets it there, so I would assume so at least, yeah. So I'm definitely glad to he doesn't have that. So there's a few options here as well. A lot of ways you can take this. I will say this right away. I know that I talked about earlier in the video how I have never topped with other decks because I don't feel like I'm that good at playing things that are less linear than Warriors. In situations like this where I have multiple avenues that I could take, I tend to not always make the best decisions, but that's just practice. I just have to keep getting better and putting myself in scenarios like this with, you know, figuring out what the best avenue is. And to some people it might be completely obvious, but it's not always to me. So I decided to obviously go heavy. I think that is fairly obvious. And the question is now whether I go with the Smashing Ground or if I wait. And I ended up going with this route, sending an Angel to grave, crashing. Like I'm in ring range anyway, pretty much. So then I will go bring out a Shining Angel. That's going to get me my second light in grave so that main phase 2 I can destroy that. And then I set the Prima as a bluff. And I think that's a fine route as well. I'm going to save the Smashing for if he goes like defense position, Sorcerer or something. So then he sets 3 right back. I see that both Mirror Force and Torrential are gone, so I'm pretty much allowed to kind of keep the aggression up here. He goes Raigeki Break, keep attacking with the Freed. And I mean, really, like, look at this position I'm in. Like, this game started off horribly. I opened with the, you know, the Shine Ball, and he went Thunder Dragon Graceful, did the Knight Assailant stuff, and so that's what I'm saying. This deck just seems to be able to make these nice trades against Chaos Turbo without really doing anything crazy. You know, because of cards like Freed enabling me to get back over that BLS while also establishing an aggressive body on board that you're going to have to deal with. So then he goes Chaos again. Don't really have anything set here, so it's kind of a fake think. I was trying to represent maybe like a Torrential or something so that so that he doesn't feel like getting further aggression. So still really hoping he doesn't find a ring, but luckily I go Graceful off the top. Very good find. Obviously I want to get rid of the Angel because I already have gone through all of the other 2 Angels, so it's just kind of a light vanilla at this point. And then I decide to go with the Duo. I mean, I could always use the Duo, But at the same time, like if I were to summon something like Sasuke and he summons another sorcerer and attacks over the top, like I'm just dead because then I'm at 400 life. So yeah, I decided to snatch first. Is another like ordering thing. I could always have gone smashing first, but I decided to snatch first. He goes Raigeki break. Then I go smashing ground. And then, like I said, I know Torrential's gone, I know Mirror Force is gone, so I'm just going to go full aggro mode with both the Sasuke and Soul Impurity. And this is underrated, like being able to put this much damage on board in one turn. Like that was a very advantage swinging turn when you go smashing, summon 2 monsters, and just hit them for 4,000 with kind of at the drop of the hat. It's nice. He goes Pot of Greed, still praying that he doesn't find Ring, and no Torrential, no Mirror, so I'm just going to keep up the aggression. He books, which tells me he doesn't have a ton, and goes Saku. So know the battle traps are coming in, and he heavies just to get info. But we won that game, so felt really good. Played a little better that game than the first game, definitely. So, and came back from a not amazing start. Another Shine Ball in the opening hand, but well, you know, it happens. It is what it is. That's going to happen a lot, actually. I mean, mathematically, so it's nothing you can complain about. He has a good start himself. Thunder Dragon into Pot of Greed. Sets 1. So, don't really have a way to deal with a face down other than the Blade Knight. So, I'm going to go ahead and just try to rip this. If it goes through, it goes through. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm hoping that he has like a Dust Tornado or, I don't know, something set that is going to allow this Blade Knight to go through. But it does not. He uses Raigeki Break, so I'm kind of assuming at this point his set is either a Faith or a Dekoichi or something. So I decide not to rip the Dust Shoot yet. And as you can see, the Decree came in. The Decree did not come in game 2, but I brought it in game 3 because I saw the battle traps. I saw the Sakuretsu armor that's getting sighted in. And so based off of that, I'm like, I should probably bring in the Decrees here. So yeah, I'm assuming that his face down, like I said, was either a Dekoichi or a Faith or something. So I want to wait for him to flip it and do his thing before I go Dust Shoot so that I can have full knowledge of his hand. But he just sets another and then sets a spell and trap back. So then I decide to go ahead and rip the Dust Shoot. I guess I could have waited, but I also wanted to end phase do the Decree. So I don't know. I think I probably should have just waited and... yeah, I think I should have waited. If I attack or something and then he uses Saku and then I can, you know, chain Decree, then chain Dust Shoot to that. But really, I should have waited one more card, I think, before I did this. So, I see his hand. He has Sork, Spy, the Swords, and the 3rd Thunder Dragon. Don't really have a way to deal with either the Sorcerer or the Spy, so I just go ahead and decide to go Sorcerer. Angel is actually pretty good against, you know, spies, because even if they decide to get aggressive with them, you can at least block a few attacks and also get, you know, swing back over one of the attack position ones with an Angel. So anyway, so yeah, now I draw into Ring. Not a great draw in this situation. Decided to just set the Angel because I know that he doesn't have any knocks or anything. So then he sets what I presume to be the Spy. And then I just pass. Not really a ton to do. I'm going to hold the Shine Ball in case I get into like a Graceful or something. So then he decides to go flip the Spy, tribute the Sangan. So he's deciding to go kind of full aggression here. Go Angel. And that'll bring out the other Angel. I could have gone DD Warrior Lady here maybe, but I really didn't want to leave just a blank Angel and deck as just a horrible draw, so I think this is okay. And like I said, this is going to allow me to attack back over and do that. So then he goes Swords. And now I kind of thought about this play quite a bit. I know he has a Tsukiyomi in hand. And if I decide to go ahead and heavy, it really allows me to kind of swing some advantage back in my favor. I still don't have an answer to this Spy besides the Ring, but it makes my Ring more live. I just feel like I don't have a ton of live cards that are doing a lot in this scenario. Basically, I have the Shining Angel, the Soul Impurity, the Snatch, and the Heavy. Those are really my only like active cards, and he definitely has more at the moment. So I decided to go ahead and just go Heavy. I don't know if this is correct or not, but that's what I went with. It's going to free up my ring. It's going to get rid of both of his swords and his back row, and it's going to allow me to push back over most of his field. So with the ring to back up whatever he tries to do. So I'm fine with this, I think. Then he goes Sorcerer. Banishes the Shining Angel, then sets a monster. Creature swap, just a fantastic pickup here. This card was also very good all day long. This is another of those scenarios where I'm like, I get a little overwhelmed because I don't, something about creature swap, it hurts my brain when I try to figure out like, okay, so that'll be over there and that'll be over there. I don't know, something about it, it hurts my head. I know, I know that probably makes me seem like a dummy, but it is what it is. So now I go with the Shine Ball to attack into this face down. I want to see what we're dealing with first, and then I attack into the other spy, I guess. I don't know. But this does allow me to make a really nice play as long as he doesn't have an MST or a Heavy of his own. I'm kind of YOLOing that he doesn't at this point, because then I can go Snatch, banish one of the spies, and then creature swap the ball to take a spy of his own. And just like that, we really swung the advantage back in our favor with just that one creature swap play. So really, really nice. Really happy about that. And now we have a pretty daunting board presence that he has to deal with. So he goes with another Chaos Maneuver. And so, like, I mean, we're getting through his Chaos monsters. We've gone through 2 Sorks now. Only has a BLS left. And we've got answers to everything. So that's really good. So he has to banish his own Sorcerer, but we've got the ring to deal with whatever he's got. Got a spy to protect our life. And we know that he has a Tsukiyomi in hand. Draw into a Shine Ball, top deck, unfortunate, but all good. I go ahead and decide to, get aggressive here. I know he has a Shine Ball set, so let's just go on the aggressive. Still haven't seen Graceful, so I'm going to hold the Shine Ball in hand, but I could definitely justify summoning it for that extra 500 damage. So now, I know his hand is Tsukiyomi. I thought I saw a Sinister at one point earlier with the Raigeki break. So, yeah, drawn to Duo. And that's right. I think I remember seeing Sinister at one point, so I ended up not using the Duo. I don't know. Maybe I should have. Yeah, so he goes to Koichi. Yeah, I don't know. I think I was trying to wait on the Duo to make sure that I didn't see the Sinister in hand so that I could get max value out of it. So, yeah. And also, like, if I hit Tsukiyomi, that's not doing a lot. I'm just not hitting a lot out of his hand. I don't feel like that's, if I hit either the Tsuk or the Sinister, he doesn't really care because Tsukiyomi is doing nothing for him here unless he has, like, a knock to pair with it. He rips a Duo of his own, which really isn't the end of the world. We have a Shine Ball and a Duo in our own hand. Sets a monster. I'm assuming this is either the Sinister or the Tsuk. I decided to just go for game, but I realize now, like, he's never going to set this Sinister into this field if he doesn't have an answer. I could also summon this second Soul Impurity and Light. It's definitely live to continue my aggression, but I haven't seen Torrential. I haven't seen Mirror Force, so I want to make sure to get this Decree down first before I do anything crazy. He knocks it. In phase Decree, which is just going to allow me to just do my thing. If it's the Tsukiyomi, he lives for one more turn because he sets the spy face down, but it ends up being the Sinister that was set. And the Decree, like I mentioned, won me this game completely. He had Ring and Saku set. Obviously, the Ring's dead for him anyway, but completely won me that match. Decree did, and I was just really impressed, watching this replay with how the deck was able to fight back against Turbo, drawing well and dropping consistent Chaos monsters. I really felt like I was able to battle back against a lot of that, just due to nice timings with creature swaps and Soul Impurity and Light, and just allowing me to push a lot of damage very quickly. So I think that was a good example of how this deck kind of pairs up against Chaos Turbo. So shout out to Not So Fast. Always enjoyed dueling against him. Very solid player and played about as well as he could have, I feel like, given the circumstances. So that was that match. Let's get into my third and fourth place match against Return Winner, and this match was absolutely insane. Just crazy. Honestly, I should be a little more confident, but at the same time, I don't feel like I'm very good playing against Burn, and Return Winner is the premier Burn player at the moment, just consistently topping with Burn and knows the deck like the back of his hand. So it's going to be an uphill battle regardless playing against him. So going to upstart first, looking for the Venus. I'm going to go Pot of Greed. Decent hand so far. Nice to see Heavy Storm against Burn. And so I'm just going to summon Shining Angel. You got to get a body on board pretty quickly against Burn. I could also go DD Warrior Lady there. Maybe that's better. Not 100% sure. I think my plan is to probably tribute this off for the Zaborg next turn anyway, so I don't mind doing with the Angel. He goes Pot of Greed of his own. He rats. And then we're going to do this whole shebang. Unfortunate that I drew the DD Warrior Lady to pair with this, otherwise I could kind of loop through everything. And then end on the DD Warrior Lady to at least deal with the Lily that I know is coming. Instead, I go with the Shine Ball just to protect myself a little bit. Oh yeah, so he doesn't always go Lily. That's right. You can go Panda off of this. It's, like I said, I don't know my Burn matchup very well, obviously. So he goes Panda. Save ourselves a little bit of life because of the Shine Ball. And then he goes Swords. So decide to go ahead and go Jar of Greed. Ton of options. I mean, I could always go Heavy. I could go DD Warrior Lady, attack. I could go Smashing. I could go Snatch. I don't even remember what I did. I think I just summoned DD Warrior Lady and then set the Heavy. Interesting. Trying to incite him into setting more. This could easily backfire on me because I think I am aware at this point that he plays Breaker. So this was very risky setting this Heavy Storm. But I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. You got to make bold plays to get it done. Fortunately, goes True Nade. So he's looping all that stuff. Gets another Rat. Lily, and this is just punching in for a ton of damage. I'm going to need to find some answers to this very quickly and also pray that he doesn't end with a bunch of Burn cards as well. And then he Swords, sets one. If there's ever a time to Heavy Storm, this is it. Don't remember what I exactly decide to do. Okay, so I snatch the Rat. I just do the Snatch as a board play. I think that's pretty simple. I could have also gone Freed because the Panda was at enough attack that the Freed would have been able to destroy it and gone Smashing. But I really wanted to get some value out of at least one of these Zaborgs. So I think that's reasonable. Set the Smashing as a bluff. And that is just game. Yeah, it would have been interesting to see if he didn't have that desserts, because then I just the Borg again, and I don't know. It's a way I could have won that one, but he pays off with him getting really aggressive early with all of those monsters. Drawn to the Decree, which is nice to see. Pretty good hand here, but I decide to hold off for now because I want to try to dig further into my deck based off of the situation that I'm dealing with. So it goes Graceful, Exile, sets 3, and then goes Double Chain Energy. So that's trouble. So yeah, then I end phase Decree, no response. And so I'm kind of at this point assuming that I've got both of his face downs locked out, which is nice. So feeling good about that. And now I go Graceful because I'm just basically digging for like Heavy Storm or the Mobius that I sided in, anything like that. But I mean, worst comes to worst, I have to pay some life and just try to graceful again. But it's allowing me to kind of dig through my deck and find something. I just have to find, like I said, Heavy or Mobius or something. That's not going to quite get it done. So this was a very big decision point for me because I just don't know. Like I'm believing that his face downs are locked out because of the decree, right? I only can spend so much life. Like I summon any monster, it's 1,000 life. And so I'm just trying to decide what to do. And mainly the main thing I know in like a situation like this, if you got them locked out of their back row, you got to start just getting aggressive and just try to beat them down as quickly as possible. So that's ultimately what I decide to do. And then the question is, do I duo? And really, I would like to act like I had some master plan about deciding whether to use this duo or not, because it cost me 2,000 life, and it was, I mean, it was really extremely risky. I mean, obviously he top decks. There's several cards that he could draw right off the top, Panda, that would just absolutely ruin my day. But at the same time, I'm kind of just taking the gamble that what he has in his hand is probably more dangerous than what his top deck could potentially be. And mainly what I'm concerned him having in his hand is some sort of stall card, like Level Limit Area B or something. Like, I don't even know if he runs that card, but something like that. I don't know why I just had that in my head of like, I just need to get those cards out of here. I'm willing to take the risk. I just feel like whatever he's holding in his hand is probably more dangerous than what's coming off the top. And it definitely was, because he had a Lily ready to go. So, yeah. So it completely saved my life doing that. It's kind of just a YOLO, just roll the dice, like, we'll just see what happens. So obviously I can't play any cards. And I know as well, like doing this, I'm just not going to be able to play any cards. Really, I'm just praying that if I duo there, he draws into like another trap or like another chain energy, or there's several cards he could draw into that would be dead, but there's also several cards he could have drawn into that would have killed me. And I just said, screw it, let's take the gamble, let's go for it. And I go in regardless. It doesn't matter because he has to pay 1,000 to summon anything that he grabs, and so that is it. However, I will admit this, and I shouldn't say this, but I almost did not attack with his faith at the very end. I considered turning it to defense position for whatever reason, because I just didn't consider that he can't summon or do anything because he's locked out of his own chain energy. And I can't believe I didn't consider that. But yeah, I almost didn't attack with the faith, and that would have been the blunder of a lifetime. I would still be curled up in bed crying if I didn't do that. But luckily we avoid the absolute blunder and get it done because we went with the bold duo at the right time. I'm a gambling man, you got to go for it. Really nice to see Heavy and MST in your opening hand against Burn. And at this point, I'm like, maybe I can do this. Wow. Okay, so I go with the Sasuke. Decide to go ahead and attack. I'm like, you could easily just MST the chain energy here, and I don't know. I really wanted to try to just set up a big Heavy Storm and just save the MST for later. So he grabs Lily. And then I set the Heavy once again, trying to get the pro Heavy to happen, trying to get him to set stuff. Obviously, if he goes like Breaker or something, I hate my life. But at the same time, I decided to just take that risk. So then he goes full on aggro, and we are in a world of hurt. Just have to really hope there's no burn cards left to finish the job, because then he goes double chain energy, so it's going to cost me 1,000 to play anything. Basically the only card that saves me here is Heavy, and I have it. So, and I just have to pray that he doesn't have a way to kill me. He goes Justice Urch, which puts me at 500 life points. And then luckily the Zaborgian comes in to mop up, and at this point I cannot believe it that I've clawed back. Just have to pray that he doesn't have at least 2 burn cards. We have the MST to deal with one of them. So then he goes Snatch. Now, this is, might seem obvious to some people, but for, some of you newer players that are like, you just have to immediately always MST the snatch. Like, you don't always have to. Like, remember that you can get them to go into battle phase, then MST the snatch, and then that way they can't attack anymore. They have to kind of reconfigure their game plan. Now, obviously, you don't want to do this if there's the possibility of them tributing off your Zaborg. And there's other things that this could have definitely backfired in a multitude of different ways. But at the same time, you don't always have to just rip the MST as soon as they snatch your monster. Burn is rarely going to be making tribute plays, so I was really not too concerned about it. So then he goes exiled, summon it, and I wait for him to attack. Then I go MST, he pops it, and then he just has a dead panda in hand. So that's it. And then we go Assure Priest and win. I cannot believe I won that game. Absolutely crazy. Obviously lucky to draw the Heavy Storm early. That really, really helped me. It was the one thing that I could have, won. And of course, props to Return Winner. It's just genius burn player. And he makes those decisions sometimes, like calculated decisions, saying, all right, well, if he has Heavy and, I just lose, but I just have to take that risk anyway. And he did. And I just got lucky and pulled it off. So really fun game, a really crazy game. Yeah, I had a great time. And so, yeah, just looking now at my opponents, this is kind of my run through the tournament. Ran into Crash Volt round 1, fantastic duelist. He was on like Stall Burn or something like that. Honestly, or actually, it was also like Cat. I think it was Burn, Stall Burn that like sided into Cat OTK type stuff. I beat him game 1, game 2. I believe he OTK'd me. Game 2, and then game 3, he just bricked. He drew a bunch of last wills without any really way to get it done. John Wick, also just a fantastic duelist. I believe I sacked him game 1. I drew amazing game 2, but did not find any monsters. I'd gone through like half my deck, and the only monster I had drawn was a Zaborg. So I just drew the nuts and lost because I just could not find a lot of monsters. And obviously John Wick played really well. And then game 3 was fairly close, but Return came in at the very end to win the game. Then I played against Don't Copy. I don't remember this game. I think it went pretty quickly. I think he just kind of bricked, and I drew pretty well, I would say. And then Dueling High, I got crushed. You watched the match against Not So Fast, against Linnell. They were on Control. It was a pretty back and forth match that went all the way to game 3, but I was able to pull it off. He was on Control. Then against Silver, just absolutely sacked Silver so hard. I mean, yeah, it was absolutely absurd. I resolved Pot of Greed like 8 times during that match. I had this Magician of Faith was just going off left and right, and it was awesome because I think he sided out some of the knocks and stuff, games 2 and 3, and understandably so. I'm not setting things that often, and so that the Faith was just allowed to just do its thing a ton. And so then obviously you saw the match against Return Winner, and then I got beat by Fancy Diesel in about 10 minutes. I mean, it was destruction. Go watch the replay if you want to see a massacre. So that was it. I had such a fantastic time this tournament. It was such a great time to make a run with Fairies, and I was really happy with the list and the tournament and how everything performed. It was such a great time. Give this deck a shot if you want to try it out. I have a video in the works where I really want to talk about innovation in GOAT format, but I really wanted to top with something unique because I want to encourage others to do so and show others that it's possible. People look at the top cut and they see Chaos Turbo, Chaos Turbo, Chaos Turbo, Warrior, Control, and they just assume that there's no way to succeed with anything else. And the real truth is that it is very difficult to succeed with anything else. It's the honest truth. It's tough. You have to have a deck that's catered to the meta. It has to be built accordingly. You have to draw well. You have to play well. Everything has to go really well for you to succeed with off-meta decks, but it is possible. The other thing is that people just aren't doing it. Like, there's just not a ton of people that are bringing unique strategies that they've really put their time in to a tournament. Now, does that mean that you can just roll up to your locals playing, some absolute monstrosity of a deck and just expect to do well because you're playing a weird deck? Of course not. You have to cater it to the meta. And that's really the big thing. You have to be prepared for the meta. You have to get reps in against the best decks when you're testing weird stuff. Like, you need to play against warriors. As much, not fun as it is to get stomped by Don Valug and get stomped by BLS playing against Turbo, like, you have to do that. You can't expect your off-meta pick to succeed if you're not putting in the work playing against the best decks and catering your deck accordingly. So that's all I got to say about innovation. There's plenty more I want to discuss later, but I just want to show people that it's possible. That was really my main goal with this tournament in general in this video. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you all around. Bye.